You can do it. High five, Inky. Oh, yay! Hi, everybody. My name's Elena Cheung, and this is my dog, Inky. Today we're gonna focus on yoga for hip mobility. When your hips are aligned and moving well, you'll feel better throughout the rest of your body. As far as props that you need for this class, all you'll need is yourself, some space, and a yoga block. If you don't have a yoga block, no problem. Something like a throw pillow or a foam roller would work really well. Inky, it's okay, go to your bed. She'll make a decision later. Okay, that's fine too. All right, let's go ahead and get started. We're gonna go ahead and lie down on our backs. So once you're on your back, knees bent, soles of the feet onto the floor. And you go ahead and just close your eyes. Oh, good girl. We'll just start off here by taking a few rounds of breath. Inky, it's yoga time. See if you can relax your jaw, relax your eyebrows. Just take a moment to notice how it is that you're feeling today. Just the overall tone of the muscles, particularly in the lower half of the body. Just notice that there are no right or wrong answers. Just starting to collect that data for how you're feeling. We'll take a deep breath. Get into the hips a little bit, starting with bridge pose. So see if you can just feel your heels with your fingertips. Then from there, for most of us, that's too close of an angle. So scoot your feet away, like 2 scooches. The scientific term, as they say, and then relax your arms by your sides. Actively root down through your feet, particularly your heels. On your inhale, lift your hips, bridge. Then exhale, slowly lower. Inhale, lift up. Ooh, hip pop, exhale, lower. Go ahead and continue through that on your own. And as you're moving, I'd like you to pay really specific attention to where you start to feel the work building. And if you notice it's more through the lower back or more through the quads, see if you can press a little bit more through your heels. And imagine it's like you're trying to drag your heels back towards your butt. So really trying to find the sense of strength and integration around the back of the hips, the lower glutes, and the hamstrings. Let's just do 3 more rounds of breath here, just bringing the back side of the body online. Really looking to harness the power of the glutes and the back of the hips. Some of the biggest muscles in the body, really built, designed to move us through space. 1 more. And hips will land. 1 leg at a time, go ahead and hug your knees in towards your chest and just roll over onto your side. Then make your way up to a tabletop. Hands and knees. If you'd like to grab padding for underneath your knees, feel free to do so. I've got my little blankie handy, so I'm gonna do that. Piece of schmutz on there. All right. So from your tabletop, just a couple rounds of cat-cow. So inhale, arch your back, lift your tailbone, broaden across your collarbones, look forward. Exhale, round, draw in through the ribs, let your head hang heavy. Thank you. It's okay. Inhale, cow pose. And exhale, cat. Let's do 1 more just like that. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. And make your way back to cow pose. Then from here, we'll do a little variation on cat-cow. So I call this wave cat-cow. So just like the name implies, you'll think of it like there's a little wave moving through your spine. So from your cow pose, take a nice big inhale. And on your exhale, start by just tucking your pelvis under. So to the best of your ability, you're minimizing the movement of the neck and the head. So again, like there's a wave moving through your spine. The lower back will round, mid back, upper back. Last move is neck and head hanging heavy. So you end up in cat pose. Take an inhale. Then exhale, start by just lifting the pelvis, or rather lifting the tailbone. Nothing else moves. Tailbone lifts, lower back, arches, mid back, upper back. Last move is neck and head. Nice big inhale. Exhale, start by tucking pelvis under. Lower back follows with control, mid back, upper back, last move, neck and head hanging heavy. Continue through this on your own. As you're moving, you might notice a tendency for things to either try to move out of order, or you might notice that certain parts of this movement feel a little bit easier to articulate than others. And that's not a bad thing, but see if you can just really focus on moving with control, with an even emphasis on every articulation of the spine. And you'll notice, particularly because we're starting with the movement of the pelvis, even though this is technically a movement for the spine, when we think of the way the hips articulate over the thigh bones, that really gives us insight into how the hips are moving in general. After your last one, or your next one rather, that'll be your last one, come back to a tabletop, and then just pause there. Gently draw in around the lower ribs, and then inhale, just a regular cow. Exhale, cat. And then we're gonna do something fun. So, go ahead and come to sitting and face the long edge of your mat. And I'm just gonna move my blanket off to the side here. So we're gonna work into the hips with some little fun 90-90 rotations. So, pinwheel the legs. You can choose which leg it starts forward, because we're gonna get both sides to the best of your ability. Hi, little girl. See if you can get 90-degree angles at the knee joints here, and then have them coming straight up from the hips, again, making this little pinwheel shape. But as you find this, if you feel like it's really pushing you over to the side, then what you can do is bend the knees a little bit more, and that'll let you sit a little more upright in the spine. Okay, so from here, really actively, whatever your front leg is, think of pushing it down into the floor. Notice the sense of engagement around the outer hip. So your goal is to use the outer hip muscles of the front leg to push this knee down, this knee being your front knee. Keep that exactly the same with the back leg. Slowly start to just lift the back knee up while the foot remains in contact with the floor. So we're really targeting this internal and external rotation of the hips, super active. When your back knee can no longer lift, that's when you swivel the legs up and over to the other side. So taking the time to be really mindful, really precise and active here. Push down through your newly front leg. Feel that sense of articulation and engagement of the hip. And then slowly the back knee lifts with control, finding that rotation, that sense of lift. And then when it can go no further, that's when you let the legs swivel up and over. Okay, let's do that a couple times. So push the front leg down, lift the back knee, and then up and over. Go ahead and continue through this on your own. There's no rush. You can move with the pacing of your breath in a way that makes sense. It's okay if it feels kind of like painstaking work. As we get more specific with the hips, that's just kind of how it tends to be. But it's really, really good stuff for finding that overall health of the hip joint. Hands, of course, can be behind you to help support and lift and lengthen the spine. Let's just do one more. Make sure you're even from left to right side. Awesome. Hello, little lady. And then from there, coming back to center, you can just take the legs forward, kind of shake it out a couple times side to side. We'll make our way to downward facing dog. So I'll meet you there. Couple rounds of breath in your down dog. Actively root down through the feet, root down through the hands. If your hammies are feeling tight, bend the knees a little bit so you can really lift your tailbone. And then actively push your toes into the floor. So really feeling that sense of energy through the legs. Again, any little movement here that feels nice. We'll just take a deep breath. And then inhale, lift both heels. Exhale, bend your knees, look forward, come to the top of your mat. So you're gonna forward fold. And then inhale, halfway lift, long spine, think torso parallel to the floor. Then exhale, forward fold, release. And on your next inhale, circle sweep the arms overhead, come all the way to stand. Then your exhale, bring your hands together at your heart. Then we're gonna work into the front of the hips a little bit here. So go ahead and shift your weight over to your right leg and pick up the left knee. Point your toes down towards the floor. And then see how high you can lift the left leg. Take your hands, interlace onto the shin. You'll use the arms just to help assist the knee up a little bit higher towards your chest. And then as you find that little extra range of motion, your goal is to keep your knee exactly where it is. Try not to let it rebound as you release the hands. Drive your right heel down, lift your left knee up. Take your hands, interlace again on the shin. Assist the knee a little bit deeper into that hip flexion. And then keep your knee exactly where it is as you release the hands. Breathe. One more time, interlace on top of the shin. Hug your knee up towards your chest. Try not to let it bounce back. Easier said than done as you release the hands. Hold there, drive your left knee up, drive your right heel down for 3, 2, 1, release. Whew, left foot to the floor, shake it out. Okay, shift your weight over to the left leg, pick up the right. So same thing, interlace your fingers around the right shin and just help yourself hug your knee up towards your chest a little bit there. Drive your left heel down, feel tall through the crown of the head. And then keep your knee exactly where it is. Release your hands, take 1 breath. Hold your shin, pull it up, keep it there, release your hands, take a breath. One more time, interlace, lift your knee, push your left heel down, don't let anything change as you release the hand. Sound effects are okay, even acceptable and supported. Take a deep breath for 3, 2, 1, and then release. You can just shake it out, whatever feels good. Then come to standing, inhale, circle sweep the arms overhead, and exhale, forward fold. Just a brief ragdoll. Bring the feet out a little bit wider apart, pinkies to opposite elbow creases, and then bend your knees really generously. Let your torso drape over your thighs. You can stay still or sway side to side or back and forth. And then we'll head into Malasana. So release the arms, heels in, toes out. You can adjust the distance between the feet so that it makes sense for your hips. And then just slowly start to sit your hips down. I'm gonna try not to sit on my dog's head. So as you sit your hips down, if your knees and ankles prefer, you can always keep the hips more lifted. If the range of motion allows, start to drop the hips into this deeper squat. Hands will come together at your heart, lift and broaden across the collarbones. So often the tendency is to kind of do this little roundy business. So let's see if we can feel lifted and tall and broad through the collarbones, through the top of the spine there. Then actively rooting your feet into the floor. And you can stay still or do a little sway side to side, just kind of feeling out that sensation through the inner thighs, through the hips, just getting a little deeper into the hip joint. We'll just take a few rounds of breath here. Take an inhale. On your exhale, fingertips down to the floor, forward fold. Hello, little lady. Okay, wiggle the feet in closer, and we'll just step the left foot back and just quarter turn to the long edge of your mat. Hands come to your hips, engage your core, and just slowly come all the way up to stand. And we'll get ready for horse stance. So, heels in, toes out, sit the hips down. Then from here, take your hands, just rest them on tops of the thighs here, close to the knees, so you can imagine there's this little framework from your shoulder all the way down to your heels. Really let the pelvis drop. Notice that your toes and your knees are pointing in the same direction. What you looking at over there? And then actively root the heels down. Think of it like you could use the muscles around the outside of the hips to really open up through the knees. So we're trying to feel this work in the back side of the hips. Then take an inhale. On your exhale, a little twist to the right, so I'm mirroring you here. Inhale back to center. Exhale, rotate to the left. Let's do this one more time each side. Inhale, center. Exhale, right. Inhale, center. Exhale, left. And then back to center. Hands come together at your heart. Sink the hips down just a little bit more. Actively rooting into your feet, root into your heels. For 3, 2, 1, and then really push through the feet. Slowly come all the way up to stand. Okay, keep your left toes turned out about 45 degrees, and you can turn the right toes in ever so slightly. And go ahead and just bend the left knee. So coming to a high skandasana or a skater pose or a high lunge, lots of different names. Take your forearm and just prop yourself up here on your thigh. And just notice what it feels like. Getting into this adductor here for the straight leg, you can turn the toes out slightly. Notice how that changes your sensation here through the inner thigh. And then keep driving your left heel down. Try to open the knee up a little bit more. Just a couple rounds of breath here. And then feel the pressure of your feet into the floor lift you back to stand. Turn the left toes in slightly, the right toes turn out to 45, and then bend the knee. Again, you can prop yourself up onto your forearm here. And then just notice, observe the sensation through the legs. If your bent knee has a tendency to collapse in, we really want to be mindful of keeping it pointing out. It'll also help us to get more engagement through the back side of the hips. And then play with the turnout of the foot of the straight leg, and just notice if that changes your awareness of the inner thigh stretch. And then breathe. Push your feet into the floor. Make it active. It's not about just falling in gravity. It's about creating that sense of support through the musculature. One more full breath. And then push through your feet, come all the way to stand. There's no fancy way to do this. We'll just step to the top of the mat and just take a little quarter turn. Inhale, circle sweep the arms up. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. And then exhale, release. And we'll make our way to lying down on our backs. And this time you'll bring your block or your block-like object with you. We're gonna set up in supported bridge. So go ahead and lift your hips. Slide your block on the lowest height underneath your sacrum. Hips down to the floor. We're actually gonna get into the hip flexors a little bit here. We worked them when we were standing and balancing, and now we're gonna give them a little active stretch. So take your right knee, hug in towards your chest, interlace your fingers on the shin, straighten your left leg out long. And then notice if you pull the right knee in, think of pulling it towards the outside of your right shoulder to avoid that deep pinch in the hip. As you pull in, the left heel might get light. Point your left toes. Just hover your heel off the floor. And then imagine it's like you're trying to touch the wall in front of you with your left toes. As soon as you find that little ding of engagement, you'll probably feel that more active stretch in the front of the left hip. We'll do a tiny movement here. So take an inhale. Exhale, tap your left heel down. Inhale, hover. Exhale, tap. Inhale, hover. Exhale, tap. Let's do 2 more with your breath. So just getting this nice active stretch in the front of the hip here. And then slowly, left knee in, we'll switch sides. Switch your grip, straighten your right leg out. And then let the right heel relax to the floor for a moment, just so you can feel that difference. Hug the left knee into the outside of the left shoulder. As the right heel gets light, hover it, and then feel what it feels like here. Notice what changes as you point your toes. Try to reach through your toes like you really want to touch the wall in front of you. Notice how that changes your awareness in the front of your right hip. Then take an inhale. Exhale, tap the right heel. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, tap. 3 more with your breath. It's a really small movement, maybe about an inch or so. Whenever Inky gets quiet, I'm like, what kind of trouble is she getting into right now? I'm sure she's fine. She is doing great. After 3 on your own, go ahead and release. Hug both knees in towards your chest for a moment, and then one leg at a time, feet down to the floor. Lift your hips, slide the block out from underneath you, hips down to the floor. And just knock the knees in, wiggle the feet out wide, and just relax one hand on your belly, one hand on your heart, and we'll just take a few rounds of breath. You can close your eyes. And just notice how the hips feel, how the body feels. One more deep breath. Take your time to just roll over onto your side and make your way up to a comfortable seated position. You can always sit on the block if you'd like. And once you're there, just relax your hands into your lap. Close your eyes. And hands come together at your heart, and to end class, we'll just take a breath. So wherever you are in your breath cycle, exhale the air out of your lungs. Take a nice big inhale through your nose. And exhale, side out. Sweet. Thanks so much for joining me. Inky's coming back too. So much fun having you in class. Again, my name is Elena Cheung, and I'll see you again soon. Oh, that was such a good time. If you liked this video, hit like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and leave me a comment. Let me know what you liked, how you felt, and what you want to see in the future. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you again soon. Say bye, Inky. She says bye.